One of the things I really want to emphasize is I think it's so important that we all, I know the whole politics is a dirty name, but I don't really care. My integrity is worth more than this election. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you and I have talked about this, and I want my candidates that are running to all to look the best, right?
For sure.
And so the voter can choose the best for the best.
And you'd want that.
That's being unselfish enough to want what's best for Scott County.
Yeah.
That's so I have no ill will towards any of my competitors. I want them to present themselves,
right,
and me to present myself.
You should want good competition, because the people win.
That's right.
I mean, I could go play powder puff football and be like, yeah, I'm the champ.
That's right. And so, I mean, it is as this goes, I started with my campaign with people from the church, or my church, and there were things that I would not do. We're not going to disparage any candidates. It's just, I'm not going to represent myself, my church, my city, my family, anybody, myself like that. And I always say my integrity is not worth this election. I'm not, and when I get sheriff, I don't want damage control.
Right.
There are great people up at Scott County.
Amazing.
Working very hard, and I appreciate them. And I want to give myself and them an opportunity to have just a different style of leadership. What's wrong with that?
Right.
I mean, that's giving the voters of Scott County options.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I am an option,
Yeah.
right? So I just needed to plug that because, and I want to give all I got, and I want them to give all they got.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean. So thank you for giving me this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, you guys? Fresh off the dusty road, which you've been hitting very hard. So as you guys know, I want to welcome you to this video. Listen, what we're going to dive into is not scripted. We've got a general outline. However, what I want to do is give... I always like to say, like, when you've been blessed with a platform, or if you have one person listening to you, you're a leader, and you have the opportunity to impart wisdom. I used to say you want to make an impact. Sometimes you have to realize you can't make an impact without having collision. Okay, so we'll get into this stuff. But before I get to part of that, I want to introduce my guest today, Jason Arras, who is a man that has his face on a trailer.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Rolling through Jordan.
Dude, I am jealous. So how we met, it was a week ago.
Yeah.
Like literally just under a week ago. Long story short, I was doing a Perfect Storm workshop. So it's our most popular, powerful workshop for parents, ADHD, sensory issues. And all of a sudden, Emmy, who rockstar, a team member of mine, says, hey, you got to meet this guy. And I'm like, all right, I'm already to start the workshop and those things. And she's like, no, it's Jason Arras. I'm like, the dude who has a face on a trailer? Because as I pull in, I'm like, yeah.
Boom!
And then on his shirt, he had it on there. So we'll post the picture below. But Jason, give the people a sense of who you are and what you're after.
Well, my name is Jason Arras, and I'm running for Scott County Sheriff. I've been with Shakopee Police Department 20 years.
Wow.
I've been blessed by what that city has not only given me, but given my family.
That's cool.
And I always feel like I got to live a life of thankfulness and gratefulness. And in the Shakopee Police Department, the city of Shakopee has given me this opportunity to run for Scott County Sheriff.
That's cool.
I came in 1998 and started as a patrol officer. Got promoted about 5 years into it. Been a patrol sergeant for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
Currently the commander of the Southwest Metro Drug Task Force.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's getting the best thing about that the task force that I've learned is the partnerships, like not only within Scott County, but our coverage areas Scott, McLeod, Carver, and a little portion of Hennepin. So with those partnerships, it's not only being there for them, but it's an opportunity to learn from them.
Right.
And those have been awesome. So been with Shakopee for 20 years, as I said. Anytime they've asked for something, I raise my hand and I call on me.
Yeah.
Because my dad would always say, if you want anything done, you ask a busy person.
Yeah.
Because they get it done. And when they asked, it was simple. I would do. So I've been a field training officer. I did the alcohol compliance checks. I was a school resource officer. I was initiated our bike unit. I was a SWAT team member.
Yeah.
Supervisor the SRO
Dude, well,
program.
my favorite show growing up was Cops.
Oh.
Where is Bad Boys, Bad Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy was running around the front lawn and chasing with the
Yeah.
snow shovel. Like that.
Right.
So you basically do that.
I do nothing like that. We gotta make that perfectly clear.
Oh, I love that. I tried.
No way.
I tried.
No way.
I tried the rabbit hole approach. I will try some more. No, but that is awesome. So when I met you, literally in this brief encounter, one of the things that stuck with me about Jason, one, his integrity, his eye contact, but yet the first thing you did, you thanked me for what I do. And so that heart of humility, it resonated with me, and I left that night. I was talking to Emmy, and the cool thing is leadership. What a lot of people think of is leadership predominantly how most people envision it, which is wrong, is they say someone's getting out in front and pulling people. Leadership is actually getting under people. And so when you came and you were this like, hey, gratitude, humility, vulnerability, you're getting under people. And so I recognized that right away. I was impressed. And we kind of left the night with saying, hey, I was like, thanks for helping making Scott County the safest place in the state with what you do and the task force and all of those things. And I said, my mission is to make it to the healthiest in the state. And then I said, I even have my own coffee mugs with Scott County in gold. So that's what we're after. So it's going to be the safest and the healthiest.
That's right.
So this is what we're about. So as we kind of shift gears in here into the youth, because that night I said, hey, you know what? I'm speaking on the ADHD, sensory processing, all those things, and you knew right away what I've known, and I've spoken with like Officer Strack here in Jordan. Those things is that when these kids on the narcotic side of things, class 2 narcotics, the same class as cocaine, methamphetamines, all of these things that can be very, very highly addictive, need to be kept under lock and key, can have, frank psychotic episodes as a side effect. You were like, man, I can give you stats that would blow your mind. Because this is what you see, day in, day out. So speak to that addiction piece and why you're so passionate about that part.
Well, I'll even get personal. I've seen what addiction does to my own mom. I have a sister who's a heroin addict, and I see the turmoil within her heart. As a task force, it's sad. See desperation, loss of hope in the eyes of these people. They don't want to be the addict, and I know that. No one signs up one day and say, you know what, I want to be an addict. How do I go and find the pills enough to become an addict? And then you commit crimes and burglaries, credit card fraud, check forgery, and whatnot, get thrown into jail, in and out, the recidivism rate. When they have an untreated addiction, maybe an untreated mental health, we have such a compound problem at that point. And when you brought up youth, I'm extremely passionate about youth. My degree's in education. I'm on our school board at Bloomington Lutheran Living Hope. And I've been a school resource officer. I've worked with the schools. Just did a K-9 stiff for the Jordan School District. And always there for them. And I want to provide that resource, that level of expertise to kids. And to think that of all the hydrocodone that U.S. produces, or we consume 95% of it. Oxycodone, 80% of it we consume. In the world. I mean, that just seems so overwhelming. And we have to say, let's think outside the box here. And when I look at you and our community, we have so much talent in Scott County.
Right.
It's unbelievable. So when you and I met, I am tapping into a resource of Scott County,
right,
willing and wanting to make a difference. John C. Maxwell, that's a win-win.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
a win-win.
Absolutely. And we always talk about this. And here's the fact of the matter. We're shooting this kind of in an off hours for us, and in the morning here. I'm sure you had things you could be doing and doing those things. But I'll tell you what I love is when we know that we can reach. The founder of chiropractic said, "You'll never know how far-reaching something you may think, say, or do will reach the lives of millions of people tomorrow." And so we may be sitting here in front of a phone and camera, and there's not a crowd here, but you know what? One person watches this. one person now gets inspired. Maybe say they're not in law enforcement, maybe they don't want to be in healthcare or have seemingly from the outside anything to do with what we do. But they're inspired to say, what was that win-win thing? What was that? The guy seemed like really passionate. Like I didn't know like people could be like that. And what he came from a background that like it wasn't picture perfect pose. Like and they'll start down that road and that road of saying, no, personal development, I can make things better. I have choice. I have power in that. No matter where they came from, no matter where they started. And so that's the resources that we get excited about. And every time I see, even with youth, when it comes to like started working, so back in 2000, it was 2008, I started practice. So by the way, in 1998, I was more worried about getting dumped in my sophomore year of high school. So I got to throw that in there.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so I got to throw that in. It's for fun. It's all right. I got dumped and I'm still
I need
here.
an adjustment.
That's
I
right.
need an adjustment.
I'm just getting over getting dumped. So anyway, no, I'm good. Just in case my smoking hot wife watches this, I'm good. I'm more than enough for it. So, but literally, I remember the scenarios of all of a sudden now the newspaper calling and saying, hey, one of your patients has had amazing results with her focus and ability in homeroom and her math scores. And I thought, well, that's cool. Tell her teachers good job. And they're like, no, we talked to their teachers, and they said the only thing they've changed is started here, and it led to a front cover of the Jordan Independent. Now, when I made the front cover of the Jordan Independent, February 2009, when the article came out, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like chiropractic therapy helps a little 9-year-old girl with ADHD type symptoms. That started it for me, and so I became super passionate. And then seeing the medications that people no longer needed, and I thought, if they don't need these anymore, where would they be if they stayed on them? You find out military, well, if you have a long history of class 2 narcotics, you can't serve in our military. And all of these things, and I thought, how does that change features? And all of a sudden now, similar for you, it started building into something beyond a business to provide me a lifestyle. It was a calling to help change people's lives, and it switched. Rather from like being an employer and running a JOB to now living out a calling that expands past this. And that's why I got all excited about you. Awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're here.
And just to add on to that, I have to, and you triggered a memory of mine, and I, unfortunately, I never remembered all my dad's sayings until I had kids myself, right? When you're grinding through it. But my dad would always say, it's not the money you make, it's the people you help. Yeah. And I've never had, we'll get physical gratification through cars or house, but the biggest gratification is helping somebody, and the gratification comes in your heart.
Oh, that's so true.
And making that difference to help people, that's what I love. To talk about helping people, that little segment is, people would always say, and I'd be like, I wish I was a football player making, bank, just rolling, fancy cars, nice house. And that's what I thought growing up, when I was in high school and college. And I don't envy their money. Right. I envy the absolute, when they get to walk in the door, they make somebody happy. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine having that power? Yeah. And just saying, you walk in the door and you instantly give them a feeling of warmth and happiness. Yeah. That to me, that's special. That's power. Yeah. And I look at that as, people are like, why are you so energetic and positive? Why shouldn't I be? I mean, I believe I have down days, but I always say, change it. Make that difference. Fight that mood. And I know the feelings follow your thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. If I think negative, if I talk pessimistic, I will feel negative. I will feel sad. I want to change my mindset. Right. I want to wake up in the morning instead of just another day. Oh, that's sad. That's too bad. I want to be happy, blessed. Turn your expectation to appreciation. Your world changes instantly. We just churn.
Can I just sell this?
We're just changing that in our mind.
I'm just gonna cut this, record it, bundle it, make it pretty, put this guy's face on it.
Man!
And it's gonna fly off the shelf. No, Jason, I 100% agree. And so this is why I feel it's so important getting together and making sure that people get a taste and a flavor for you. And your heart behind it. And I will tell you, I will get behind any business. I will get behind any person. I will get behind anybody that has a mission bigger than themselves and say, hey, how can I help you? Because truly, it's just something. My dad has always joked because he ran a lumberyard for 30 years, growing up small town, middle of nowhere, Nebraska. And we just got the internet last week, so they may be able to see this, which will be good. But I remember, like, I was kindergarten age, and we were walking down the street, and we're going through, and Daylight Donuts was on the corner, and Macintosh Jewelry in the hometown main street, and he'd go and he'd tell me about how they got up at 2 a.m. make fresh donuts, and he knew their names, and then all of a sudden Rich Macintosh was there, and he'd go down and he knew everybody's name, and people on the street he'd always call him by his first name, and I said, Dad, like, how do you? I literally asked my dad, I go, how do you know everybody's name? And I'm like 6, right? And he's like, you know what? It's my job. And I was like, you sell lumber back over there just around the street, like. And he says, no, it's my job. He goes, you make sure, because everybody's always said, and how many times you hear this? I'm terrible with names. Terrible with names. Yeah. Well, guess what? You're not terrible with names. You just convinced yourself you're terrible with names. And so I just remember those things where my dad, he's like, you were a doctor ever before you were a chiropractor. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you had your PhD. I was like, what? I was like, I thought he was going to give me a great compliment. Like, I was like, really, Dad? Like, what is that? And he goes, yeah, it stood for post hole digging. Out on the ranch. Like, that's how you got your PhD. So, anyway.
And you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think those quality characteristics are so important to speak into our kids, speak into the people in our lives, because they need it. So those are some good things. So I'm excited, Jason. I can't wait to see, best of luck to you in the future wherever this goes. But what I'm going to call my shot right now, and this is important because I think you need to speak. I did a video last night on speaking to your giants, the David and Goliath story, where I feel Goliath was beaten as soon as David opened his mouth, because no giant will ever stand against truth. Like they'll just fall. And Goliath would come out 40 days, 40 nights. What did he do? He trash talked. He was a soothsayer.
Yes.
He was a professional trash talker.
Yep.
And nobody said anything. So staying silent against your giants in your life will ultimately kill you. It will. And so I believe, like, when David first spoke and he said, you will not defile the living God of Israel. Like, he literally, Goliath was done. All power cut off in it, and there's a shift. And so, yeah, he hit him with the rock, but he was dead before that. Like, I'm just convinced of that. So I did this video last night, and I got passionate about it. I was like, I gotta do a video, and I'm walking around the neighborhood, like, people are like, who's this nut job out there? I mean, a true story. But why I say that is because I want to let this be known that today, whatever it needs to be done for myself, my team, and collaborative to help Scott County, whether it's health, whether it's safety, whatever it is, I believe that however many years from now, there will be an organization, a task force, if you will, where we see healthcare providers that are before they get into the systems. Like, we need those things. We need mental health. We need treatment facilities, absolutely. But I want to come back before we have to, put triage and Band-Aids on things. I want to come back and say, okay, at the root, what does it look like? Because addictions don't look like addictions in the beginning. They don't. They can't. And so that's what I'm excited to with you about, and see where that goes.
And you know what? I call it, always in times of turmoil, I would always use my faith as bookshelf faith, right? Mm-hmm. When do we always call on God? When we're in times of trouble.
Right.
What I want to do is call on God every day.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And stop the bookshelf faith. So what I have grown more accustomed to, and I've done plenty of presentations to the public, and it's people always want the answer after the fact, right? They want to know how and why after the fact, right? Let's, as a community, look ahead of that. Let's stop before we have to go, oh, Jay's having a bad time. Where's that Bible?
Yeah.
I mean, where is it?
It's leveling out the TV.
Yeah, it's yeah, right.
It wobbles if it.
But
does
it's
not
such
that,
a human. And
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that.
I am, And my goal is to get out in front and touch those people before tragedy hits, before the addict and their family pops up, right?
Yeah,
because that's when the turmoil starts spinning. That's when the rings start missing. That's where the little change jar is gone. That's where the lock was broken and what type of friends you're hanging around, right? Yeah. All these signs start to come through, and all of a sudden at that point, I wanna talk to somebody. I should have educated, and I fall into this too. I'm part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
You know, and if there's any way we can get out in front and educate the public, education is so powerful.
Yeah, I didn't tell you this. Doctor in Latin actually means teacher. So I know
really?
Your background is in education.
Yes, it is.
So I've just dropped that one right in the middle there.
There it is.
Yeah,
we're done.
I 1,000% agree, and I couldn't agree more. So whatever that looks like, I guess moving forward, let's take the people who are ready to make those changes and are willing. Because the funny thing is, wherever people will jump in this video or watch to the end or however it gets edited, all those things, like they may be sitting there, and I guarantee you there's parts of this they'll watch and they're like, okay, he's law enforcement, he's a chiropractor, what are they talking about? Yeah. Like I thought the guy was going to have a dry spine, be like, bones on a plate, blah,
right.
blah, blah.
Right.
Or this guy was going to be like, just like, I don't know, in a handcuffed squad car, or whatever, you know, like the stereotypical or stoic. Yep. But this is more about two guys that have a heart to help people. And you and I both know, no matter like how cool we have it here and how blessed we are, which I'm so grateful for, that it's gonna be gone. Like as soon as we're dead, like, you know, in a few short years, you know, my great grandkids, man, I don't even know my first name. Now hopefully that's not the case, but if we can impart something that lasts past that, it doesn't need my name attached to it, and I know you're the guy that doesn't need your name attached to it, but if it can impart and continue on, I think that's the bigger goal and target.
You know, Doc, I mean, think of the growth that we are going through. We're at about 142,000 in a county right now.
Yeah.
Okay. We're looking at by 2030, their estimation 175. By 2040, we're looking at 200,000 people.
Wow.
Okay, so we have to get ahead of the curve, right? We can't wait for it broken for us to start fixing.
Yeah.
Right? Let's think out of that. That's why you and I are here.
Mm-hmm.
Two people that are dedicated and want better for their community.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Absolutely.
You know, and I believe the money doesn't fix problems. I get that, but people do.
Right.
And guess what? You and I are people.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think we are.
Yeah.
So,
no, for sure.
And any opportunity that we can, you extended this invitation. I wasn't going to turn that down a million years, man. Hey, just out of curiosity, what was one of the first things I said to you? I mean,
no, well, you introduced yourself
yep.
as Scott County's next sheriff,
yep.
right, which I love. And it wasn't cockiness; it was certainty. I love certainty. But then you thanked me for
mm-hmm.
what I do,
yep.
and then I'm drawing a blank. I'm not sure. After that, I was just impressed.
I mean, look at that.
Oh,
what did I?
No, I said I should have my face on my shirt. I was just...
and I said something that beautiful would get more votes.
Oh, okay.
I
well, there we go.
Like that.
So
maybe we could do that.
We gotta get. We'll have to get something put together for sure.
Awesome.
But no, I just want to thank you, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I said, this is not our last conversation. No matter where the roads go, something big is going to come out of this, and I'm pumped for it because you know what, life is. This is what it boils down to. You and I have both come to a conclusion, whether we verbalized it or not. We're going to make sure someone's life is better when we're in it. And if we're not in their life, it's not going to be as good. And that's not an arrogance or cockiness thing. That's saying I'm going to make sure your day is better because I'm around.
And another thing to add is I've been to the Cooper Institute for fitness standards in Texas. I'm passionate about fitness. My wife sells nutrition. I've been about fitness my whole life.
Sure.
So the thing that I have to emphasize is how that important is to you. There's three things that I always feel like I should be touching every day. The Bible, nutrition, good nutrition, and exercise. Those three things every day.
You should put your wife in there.
Gee, come on, man! Yes. You're killing me.
I know. No.
You're
I
what?
agree. Those three things. You're killing me small.